It is conversation. It is that Wednesday morning when you listen, you watch, and we all together learn something new. Every day we move out on the street, get to find out what is happening in Nigeria. What are Nigerians talking about? What are Nigerians doing? And at the end of the day, we all put it on a horizontal line, vertical line, weigh it, get to find out what can we do to be better citizens? What can we do to be better human beings? What can we do to, enjoy our lives generally? And talking about enjoying our lives and being better beings is imperative that we stay healthy. Now, sometime last year, actually last 2 years, the coronavirus, crept into China and gradually spread across the whole world globally. Now, it got to a point where people were restricted, people were locked down. A lot of things were happening, all of them or most of them on the negative. We began to, look for solution. Luckily, solution came. The vaccine came, and Nigeria has been able to get some for the citizens. The question now is, how many of us are ready to take the vaccine? How many of us have actually taken this vaccine? What does this vaccine entail? What is hindering us? What is propelling us? Wherever you stand, one of the questions will be for you. Let's get to find out what the opinion of Nigerians are. And when we come back, I will be introducing my guest and we talk.
Yes, I'm even going to where I'm going to receive mine today. I'm going to area 10 to take my COVID-19 because I knew COVID-19 is real. Taking the vaccine will prevent me from maybe having it.
Based on the rumor that we're hearing, for me personally, I won't take it because I heard that it has side effects. When you take it, you will be having constant headache and you'll be having heart pain. That was what I heard, so I'm scared of taking it.
If I come to the full understanding that it's safe, why not? No, because there are several mixed feelings about the vaccine. Some persons who took it, had one or two challenges or one or two reactions to it. And this, for me, is part of the general feelings of Nigerian people.
I will not, because I don't really know the side effects and I don't know how reliable it is.
I will not take it. It shouldn't be a forced thing because there is no COVID-19. Those that want to take it, it's left for them. Of what I know, as long as the God of heaven liveth and as long as we're on this earth, Africa is a blessed nation. Nigeria particularly is blessed.
Me being civilized and exposed, there is COVID. Definitely everybody want to take the vaccine. Why I won't take COVID-19 for now is that our medical system needs to be fixed. So if you want me to believe in the medical system, that Nigeria, they are serious about the health and all that, if our medical systems are functioning, definitely we won't have stress taking whatever, we believe in them.
With the many news going around, I don't think I'm ready to take it now. Except I am being informed, I get a good information of how good it is for my health before I will take it.
No, I will not take COVID-19 vaccine because to me there's not like COVID-19 in Nigeria, first of all. If you go to some COVID centers, you notice that they're just playing there. Nothing is actually going on there, so what's up?
I just want to watch the way things go. There's a lot of controversy surrounding the vaccine itself. Yeah, so I'm not exactly condemning the vaccine, you get it. But because of the controversy, I don't think I want to take the vaccine for now. So let's just see how things goes. Yeah, maybe in the future I might just consider it.
I don't think so. Right now, I learned that the vaccine is available and people are taking it. But what I'm even thinking now, I think is beyond the COVID-19.
All right. I did tell you that our focus today is on the vaccine. But just before I get in my guest, I'll be showing you a little things. And I'll also ask you to write to us via our feedback number to find out, only text and message and WhatsApp messages. I'd like to find out if you have taken it, what was your reaction? Because the truth is, a lot of people are saying a lot of things. Later on in the program, some doctors will be here to clear up some of the myths about the vaccine. But I have to tell you firsthand that I took mine last week. And it doesn't really matter anything. I didn't feel pain, and I didn't have heart pain, like God said. My head didn't move. I'm still normal. I'm here. I'm talking to you. So that means nothing like that. But then, I don't know, different bodies could be, reacting differently. That's for the doctor to clear up. I will be right back with the studio. But for now, let's take some promos.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
Coronavirus, where the nickname na COVID-19, it not be big man of sickness, so if it catch anybody, according to World Health Organization, WHO, where then they call WHO, make I show you how the disease they take spread.
Oga travel go abroad, come back with symptoms of COVID-19 infection. As he land for airport, driver go carry and come house. His wife and pikin welcome am. Cook arrange food for Oga. Houseboy and house girl pack Oga load enter house. Now so Oga begin spread this infection to him people. Driver go mechanic workshop, go spread am. Cook go open market to go buy one or two things. She go spread am too. Even house cleaner go back her house, go spread the same infection. Now so this coronavirus begin take style dey spread from family to we country people.
So therefore, make we join hands obey all the instructions wey government and our medical people don give us. Wash your hands with water and soap regularly, or use hand sanitizer. No go join body for where people gather plenty. Maintain social distancing. Above all, stay una house as government don advise. Stop unnecessary waka about, so make we no spread this virus.
Coronavirus. No be only big man like me they catch you. If it catch anybody, even poor man yourself will fit to get am. So, make we join hand together. Take stop with this deadly disease where they kill our people and they never get a cure.
Together,
Together, we go overcome. if we do all the things wey dem tell us to do.
Anybody who is exposed can contract coronavirus, but not everybody has a fair chance of surviving the disease. Data has shown that older persons stand a higher risk of dying. Are you 55 years and above? Do you have pre-existing health conditions? Please safeguard yourself and minimize your risk. Observe all COVID-19 protocols.
If you hear of anyone with high fever, dry cough, and difficulty in breathing, please do not go near such a person because they could be a victim of coronavirus infection. Call someone else or the NCDC to assist. Please use your prescribed medications regularly. Exercise around your home and eat well so that you can remain healthy and strong. For an older adult, to beat coronavirus is not to contract it at all.
This message is brought to you by Gerontology Association of Nigeria, the Geriatrics Association of Nigeria, and Dave Mokoro Foundation in conjunction with the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
The coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, has been declared by the World Health Organization as a global pandemic. While clinical trials are ongoing for a vaccine and a possible cure, there is no known treatment for the coronavirus. Nigeria has recorded some of these cases, and people are advised to take these preventive measures to keep themselves safe and contain the further spread of the virus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water, or use hand sanitizers all the time. Maintain social distancing. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Practice respiratory hygiene. If you have fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. Do not panic. Stop the spread of unconfirmed news. Follow the official government news outlets and report all cases immediately. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
I told you today we'll be looking at issues that concern you and I. A lot of us are wondering, what is it like? Is my face going to turn like this? Is my head going to go like this? But I can assure you that I have taken it and I'm okay. So that's the vaccine for the coronavirus. I also told you that we have guests joining us. I have already, in this place, I've made a rule. I don't introduce anybody. So I have, I know you as Philip. So
Dr. Phillips Ekbe, the Secretary General of the Nigerian Medical Association. I'm also a Chief Consultant Obstetrician Gynecologist.
Okay, and I know that Dr. Atahiru, our COVID general, please, Doctor, can you come in and sit down? I know you're here, and so he's just joining us. You didn't greet me too. You know, this tells me you've taken your COVID vaccine. Doc, I saw you already taking your own, so I'm pretty sure that all of us have, had the first shot at it.
Yes.
So why are we still greeting like this?
Well, I'm sure you're aware that whether we like it or not, COVID-19 is still a novel disease, a novel virus that we are still studying. It's just barely 1 year now, So we can't categorically state that we know everything about COVID-19. So you can see that even over the time that some things that were being done that have been dropped, while some have continued. Before now, it wasn't an issue of just face mask alone. It was an issue of many other things, but now face masks have become one of the mainstays, apart from physical distancing. So the instruction is that after taking COVID-19 vaccine does not necessarily mean that you cannot keep the other rules. That is the rules to prevent the transmission. I mean, for now, until we change it, that it is safe. Actually, even sitting here, though there is physical distancing, we are still taking some level of risk.
A lot of people are asking the question. Before now, we're all mixing and mingling, but now it came, we're asked to separate and cover up. Vaccine came, we are taking it, and you're still telling me not to hug my friends, not to do this. I really don't understand it as a layman. I don't know. Dr. Terry, do you have something different to tell me?
Oh, I mean, taking also with what my dear Secretary General have said, that this is the vaccine is one of the amendments that we are, or that is geared up towards preventing and de-escalating and eliminating COVID-19, or what we call SARS-CoV-2. Well, I think ideally we can all come together and say, okay, what about those individuals that have not actually had access to the vaccine? We don't have to leave them behind. Sometimes when you see the first set of doses of vaccines comes in, even worldwide, and it's given to the frontline health workers, opinion leaders, and people that are ready to be there to convince others. But it simply means that there are a larger percentage of individuals in the community that has not gotten the jab. So if we bring up a rule and then we feel that, okay, after you've gotten the jab, then you can actually let everything go and things like that. You know, there are some of those people too that will also, they are not yet in the layman language, what we said, being protected. And if you look at it, there are some individuals also in the society, you like it or you don't like it, they just feel that we call them vaccine hesitancy. You know, they just...
Vaccine what?
Resistance.
Resistance.
Hesitance.
Hesitance, okay,
yes,
okay.
Would feel that you need to convince them. I mean, we are doing a lot of work trying to convince them, to tell them what is real in the vaccine, because they sometimes believe what they see or what they read or what they hear in the social space. But when you bring in the scientific part of it and then you are able to marry them together and explain to them, they get to. So if we actually feel that vaccine has come in, but at the same time, it has to take a while before we now say, okay, let's go back to our normal norm. And number 4, something we always talk about is that we talk about herd immunity, which is the summation of the immunity that is in the community. And if we look at it, that when we have up to about 60 to 70% of the population being vaccinated, then we can now say, wait a minute, out of every population that we have, somebody will not be able to take the virus. Meaning, if somebody is infected, even by the time he doesn't use face masks and the rest, the other person, there is no way, because the antibodies are already there, the body immune system has built up against that, and that we take it off, and then we can actually achieve to eliminate. So there is that scientifically, wisdom, and also the public space to also still keep up all those non-pharmacological, what we call protocols of face masking, social distances, and the rest. And I think this is something that we should take home to tell our viewers to know that it is a gradual thing. It is not one-stop shop. And we know that the healthcare worker, the frontliners, have actually got the job. I've got vaccines. You are also a frontliner because, of course, you are there propagating. I
have my green passport.
Your green card, your certificate. If you call it passport now,
it's my passport.
No, we call it passport.
So this is it. It will take a while, but we still need to actually keep up the non-pharmacological instance. And I think this is going to help us in the long run as a society, because when we look at it, infectious diseases is diseases that are common in the tropics where we live, and one of the variable tools of preventive infectious diseases is simply for us to use what we call the non-pharmacological methods. So I don't think, even if the vaccine comes in and we vaccinated up to 90% of the population, then we can always ask ourselves that we're in Africa, we're in the tropics, sub-Saharan Africa. It means that one of our biggest problems is infectious disease, and that can be prevented by simple washing of our hands, using all those things and things like that. And I think it's going to creep in and the rest. Not everything, but that washing of hands, for me, is a takeaway that we can. We should continue with.
Yes, I was reading of something.
All those other
I was reading of something earlier on, maybe about 2 months ago. They said usually the flu that hits the cold region of the world, they experience more than 50% less this period. So I guess it's because of all these medical interventions people have been carrying. And I also noticed that before now in Nigeria, usually around January, there's this outbreak of a lot of things. The hospital is congested with children. Either they are stooling, they have catarrh.
Airborne
I
infections,
tried
yes,
to watch this January. I didn't see much of that. So I guess, like you said, it's working. And for those of us who are ladies, I think I'm going to keep the face mask for a very long time because it's fashionable somehow. And then when I haven't had my makeup, I use it to cover my face, you know.
Not just that, if you look at it, let's look at what we are having in Nigeria, the AstraZeneca vaccine. They've told you it's about 72% effective. In other words, you know, even when the vaccine is kind of 100% effective, does not mean that you have stopped it. It can still infect you, but it's just that you have the ability to deal with it better. But you see,
it's just like when you have measles
yes, exactly. You know,
vaccine.
you give your kid measles
You
vaccine.
will still have it,
yes, but
it's
it will
less
be better.
now. Okay,
and
I
so
get it.
you see possible that he can still transmit to somebody who is not even vaccinated. You understand? So for like what he's saying, it's more like do all you need to do to prevent this scourge, this pandemic that has really dealt with the world. You understand? It's not as if people are just taking advantage of it, stating that if I'm still going to wear face mask, going to wash my hands, why should I take vaccine? No. If you're still going to wear face mask, you're still going to wash your hands and keep physical distance, you should not spread it. You understand what I say? You are not wearing it 100% of times. You're not washing your hands 100% of the time. There are still gaps in between.
Yes.
But if you take the vaccine and probably the viral load is highly reduced, your ability to even transmit is highly reduced. But you can still transmit to somebody that has a serious morbidity and cause the death
of somebody.
So that is the reason, not, you know.
All right, Doc, when we had our promo plate, a lot of things came up. Some people say when you take the vaccine, you have a palpitation of the heart, chest pain she called it, but I guess that's what she meant. Some say your head get bloated. Some say your face will turn the other way around. In fact, there are a lot of conspiracies going on. What is the ideal reaction of someone? I had my own. I think I just had a little bit of a dizzy eye for a couple of hours the same day I took it. You know, by evening, I didn't remember I had vaccine. It was the next day upon showering, I went to sponge that area and I felt a little bit of tickling pain. It wasn't really a pain, just tickling. So I remember that, okay, that came from the jab of the needle. Now, what is the ideal reaction?
Well, my response to this question is that even some vaccines and drugs that have been discovered some 20 years ago, sometimes we're still seeing some new reactions. So it never really finishes, you understand? However, the reaction we're talking about is that how serious is it? How bad is it? You know, quite a lot of vaccines do have reactions. And that is why even for your kids, when you give them BCG and different drugs, they say, oh, they run fever, give them paracetamol syrup. You understand? So for COVID-19, reactions are expected. And sometimes we can even tell you that sometimes reaction is a sign that it's active.
Oh,
you
really?
understand? Yes, it's a sign that it's active. And there are varied reactions that you see. He's an infectious disease expert. He's a microbiologist. So probably he can even give you a routine of them. But I took mine, I think, around 16th of March. You know, that is more than 2 weeks now. And the few reactions I had, probably what they call lethargy, maybe that tiredness, you know. Then maybe that particular hand was weak for like 48 hours. Then I had the lymphadenitis, that is maybe the inflammation of the lymph node. Basically, that was that.
And how long did that last?
Maybe less than 72 hours, they were all gone. Sure, the day I took the vaccine, I operated on a patient. The next day I operated on a patient. And I know 1,001 persons, colleagues, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, that have taken it since maybe like over 1 month to 2 months now, those within the country and those outside the country. They are doing very well. I have not seen anyone that reported any reaction that will make us discourage the use of COVID-19 vaccine. No. In short, the gain far, far, far outweighs these reactions. You understand? Maybe quite some people, you don't know. I mean, for those of us who have worked at the isolation center, courtesy of my good friend here, I mean, I must say it here that his name is known, especially in FCT, for all the good work he did at Gowalada Isolation Center.
He has a title.
Yes, he was there all through. He risked, in short, when people were palpably afraid, he went in there like a gallant soldier. You understand? Ready to die for the cause of humanity. Do you understand what I say? So what I would say is that there are so many side effects, but they're all mild and all can be contained. You understand? If you have lost persons from COVID, think about it. If you are in a family of 7 and you know your father died of COVID, nobody will talk to you before you rush to go and get COVID-19. It's those who were able to maybe overcome it, who had mild COVID and people didn't have at all, are the persons who are talking this. Go and look at every other persons that have suffered COVID-19. They all want the vaccine because they know what they went through. They know the reality. So we are appealing to Nigerians. We are neighbors, we are brothers, we are sisters, we are family. We must protect each other.
Okay. So, Dr. Tairu, our COVID general, once again, I salute you. Now, he did mention that you could have insight as to other side effects. He suffered weakness and lethargy and inflammation.
Yeah,
not more than
lymphadenitis, yes.
3 days. I didn't get to that level. I think I'm stronger than you.
No. It shows that my reaction, my response shows that I have high immunity.
He's trying to tell you
No, Dr. Harry, but you collaborate with me now. Those that have allergies are evidence of high immunity.
Body
responses
I refuse to buy into that one.
What a man can do, a woman can do better.
I'm stronger.
This is quite true. If we look at it, looking at it from that part, there is nothing that is introduced into the body that doesn't cause reaction. And that's why we usually divide this into various parts. We call some what we call initial acute reaction. We call some that is the early one, and then we call some of them side effect, which is by the side of what the effect that you intended to cause, which is a good effect. And then the other one, which is not good, which is a problem, is what we call adverse effect. Now, when you look at all these things, we always look at it that the adverse effect is what we don't see. And thankfully, in this vaccine that has come, we have not recorded adverse effect. And we are following the trend. Every evening we sit down, we looked at the trend. What do we have? What do we have in terms of the different ranges of vaccines? And we have what we call an international community that we can actually do webinar and ask ourselves, do you record any adverse effects as it is in the country currently? And that is where NAFDAC and Nigerian National Primary Healthcare Development Agency have done fantastically well. They brought out what we call a checklist of signs, of symptoms that you can observe, and you can record it and can be recorded as adverse effect. And I know in one of your programs, you're going to invite them in to tell us some of the effect that they've seen. But from what we have seen so far, of what patients have actually told us, obviously there is what we call little or no side effect in what we have seen. Why do I say little or no side effect? Because sometimes it's a usual reaction. Usually even water, as we take water, there is something we call what we call water intoxication.
Water intoxication,
water intoxication, So a drug comes in. Usually when you find something like a vaccination coming, because I also major in what's called vaccinology, and you have a jab, the first thing that happens is your body either rejects it or it takes it. By the time it stays for up to about seconds or 5 minutes, and there is no swelling, there is no rejection, there is no reaction by the body, flushing and all those things, then you know that it is a good product, it's a good vaccine. If it is not, then you find all sorts of bleps, a lot of swelling, a lot of things in that area, and that means that the body is reacting to reject it. When people talk about blood transfusion, immediately you are giving that blood. By the time the body does not want it, the body will reject it immediately. It will react and like flushing, and you just know that you have to stop. You have to give some drugs and the rest. hydrocot, and the rest. But in this case, once it comes in, and for all the vaccines that have been given, both in India and everywhere, and the AZ vaccine, we have not recorded in which it has been given in terms of injection, and there was an immediate hyperacute rejection. That is a good sign. The second thing that happens when it comes in is for the body to now recognize that a foreign substances has entered the body. Just like when we take paracetamol, we take tablets, we take all those drugs, the same thing it is. And for all the records that we have been compiling from all over the world, I'm bound to say this, all over the world in which we are communicating, we have not had a situation whereby there is no recognition of the as an anti, because we call them antigens in our own medical word. But in a layman word, we can call it foreign bodies. Now, it comes into the body, and God's so kind that the vaccine, and this is where we have to thank the Honorable Minister, of Health, our father, who has actually come in and actually suggested that it's good for us to have AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca is a viral vector carrier. It comes into the body, and the body recognizes, because it's only a small part of that virus called the spikes, the glycoprotein that is injected, meaning the whole virus is not being injected, so it's safe. And the body recognizes, and the body now starts producing substances that will now lead to the protection of the body, which we all, in medical language, we call antibodies. In the layman language, we call them protective substances. So, Lisa, this is things that now comes in. And when the body now records, it now builds up in the body, and then prevent the virus from coming in and the rest. At that stage of this, we can now say, okay, the body can now actually react, and maybe the kidney, the liver, the things, electrolyte changes and the rest. We've not recorded any of that.
No, sorry.
The only recording...
Does it prevent the virus from coming on? The virus comes in and it deals with it?
A virus comes in, it deals with it, and prevent the virus from establishing itself.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It prevents the virus from establishing itself, because there is a lot of protocol that goes on when even an organism comes into the body. Maybe through breathing, like for instance in SARS-CoV-2, in this coronavirus, it's through airborne, nasopharyngeal, eyes, and the rest. When it comes in, the virus itself has to say that I'm in a new environment. I need to establish myself.
You will stand on one leg.
Open leg. And then start reproducing.
Yes.
But what the antibody does, which is protective, the vaccine does, is that the vaccine just goes in there. As the virus comes, it just bind it up.
And make it useless.
And make it useless. And take it off, so that you now find it going through, you pee it out, it goes through the liver, it goes through that bile, and all those things, which we call antigen-antibody reaction. Take them out, and then it takes it out. So the reaction that we obviously see, which is at that point of the body recognizing that a foreign body has come in, a good foreign body that is going to lead to protection, which is the vaccine. And what are those reactions? As Chief have said, there are so many of them. And it all has to do...
The public will want to know.
Now,
as much as possible. Because somebody was telling me that it's making him eat. I said, no, you're not truth.
Yes.
No, there's headache, there's fever. I can tell you so many of them.
Let me give some of them.
I told them you made me broke in my pockets.
So one of those things you find is that the body will now recognize, but our body are different. Different body recognition of it is different.
Okay.
Some people in their own body system will recognize it and say, okay, something has come into my body, and that will basically increase him to eat, in which you now have all those things like hunger spike with hypoglycemia and some of those things. You find some people who just feel dizzy, and then that dizzy is a good dizzy, because if it is ordinary water that has been injected, somebody will not feel dizzy. You will not feel anything like that. But your body has to react. Dizziness is there. Sometimes somebody will actually feel he needs to sit down and calm down. Somebody said, calm down, and this is a natural calm down.
Yeah, be calming down, mommy.
Yeah, they're calming down.
Yeah.
You know?
Mommy, calm down.
Mommy, calm down. So some people will feel some heaviness in the hand. It's not a bad effect. It's an effect that the body has recognized something, meaning the body's response have come towards that side in massive that, wow, you are welcome. You are welcome. Now let's start the mechanism as it is. Swelling of, not swelling, heaviness of the hand. You find some people actually having, yes, it's true, what we call they feel their head kind of like something a bloating of the head.
Yes.
Some people have to, but in the recent, we have not seen somebody that have what we call scratching or reaction of the body. Only at that side that your body can kind of attract you to feel that, okay, you need to touch it, but not to scratch for
so we
pebbles
shouldn't
to come
scratch
in.
it.
Usually we don't advise people to we don't
Okay,
advise to
another
scratch.
thing, you mentioned something about people who have had, the virus, rushing to take this because they know what they've been through. And it makes me wonder, if I have suffered it, wouldn't that be enough of a vaccine for me? Why would I want to go back to take it?
If you notice, even in the course of time, some people even suffered COVID twice.
Twice?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. In short, I know 2 persons that suffered the first one, and the second one came and killed them.
Oh.
Yes. That doctors.
Oh.
You understand? So to let you know how bad it is. That doctors that are like godfathers, are people that we respect, people who did even all that is supposed to be done. But you don't really know where the sleep will come. You understand? So we already said it. In vaccines does not mean because you already suffered it. It's not every infection that because you suffered it, therefore don't take vaccine. Maybe, I think it's just chicken pox that you see some people who have suffered it and say, okay, don't bother, because it's able to provoke enough immunity for life. You understand? Why some other ones may not provoke enough immunity, so that you need a helping hand. You understand? Remember, this vaccine is specifically made and put there in that person. You understand? When the body is strong. Do you understand? And then it now responds by producing the antibodies like you mentioned. So it is not stated, that because, it's just like typhoid vaccine. The fact that I had typhoid fever before does not mean that you cannot take the vaccine. You understand? And there are so many other vaccines like that. That even if you had it before, you have to take it for extra protection. I'm sure you're aware of even boosters, where okay, like I give you example, this AstraZeneca and some other vaccine, you take the first one, and now they're saying in 3 months' time, take another one. Does it mean? What it means that the first one may not give you enough immunity, and
so
you need a booster.
Boost.
Yes,
okay, that's a booster now.
Yes, so that is just what it is.
So let me say some more things that may take it up from where my respected chief of staff talked about. You see, in immunology or vaccination immunology generally, we divide them into 2, the protective. We have those ones that are active, and we have those ones that are passive. The active ones are those people that got immunity as a result of active infection. And that is the example you've just given. Those patients that actually had coronavirus and they had SARS-CoV-2 and they were admitted or those things, or they were not admitted or they are asymptomatic, but that virus has come into the body. The second part are those people that actually got that, maybe they are passing around, they are just going around, and you give the immune booster, just like what my chief have said. You gave the immune booster, and they are passively protected, or by vaccination, which is what we are doing now. But in all of them, both active and passive, both of them actually create 2 responses in the body. The first one is memory cells. It means that if the person actually got the infection, just gotten the infection, the body has already recognized that this ABC infection has come into the body and has produced antibodies as a result of that, which is protective. If you bring in a vaccine or you bring maybe passively immune booster, the body also creates memory cells. So any way you look at it, the body has already created memory cells to know that if this infection comes again, called ABC, it will deal with it and take it out of the body. Right. Now, for those patients that actually had SARS-CoV-2 before, that already had the infection before, coronavirus before, and then their body has produced a lot of antibodies, they now take vaccine again. That simply means that there is what we call potentiation of of their immunity against that specific organism.
Or adjuvant effect.
which is it will come to, that is coming together to promote. So it means it is not out of place for them that they have been infected before and then now coming to taking the. In fact, we encourage them to take that. In fact, the first work that we are actually working on with some of our partners overseas, they are actually looking at what is the benefit. We've not brought out the final report, the outcome yet. We are looking at what is the effect on those that have been infected before and then had only one dose of AZ. And what is the effect in those that actually had the infection before and then had the first dose and had the second dose? What are the immune indexes that they have in their system? We are very soon we'll bring it out.
The results will come out.
The result will come out.
Perhaps those who have been infected and have not taken at all.
And have not taken at all. What is the effect? Because right there, in fact, right there, we've already realized that for those that have had it before, their immune indexes actually wins by 7th month, 8 months, and goes down. And that is something that we need to match up together with these new other findings. And then we can now come out and now suggest and say, okay, fine. For those that have been infected before, they are protected
for 3 months, 4 months.
They can take one dose. Oh, but for those that
if I have COVID as we speak, can I take vaccine?
Oh,
yes,
sure.
That we've just agreed.
We can. Those are
you have nothing to lose. You have everything to gain.
You have everything
I thought I'll
gain.
finish treatments before I go to take
no. Because, that's why we call it a neutralizing antibody.
Yes.
You know, there was a question they asked me when I was taking mine. He asked me if I was pregnant, if I was a nursing mother, even though I told them I was a nursing grandmother. They asked a lot of things. So that means there are some people that may not be able to take the vaccine. So who are
let's put it this way. Like we all agreed from the beginning that it's a novel virus. Things discovered are new. So we have to be a little bit careful. You understand? I mean, we just don't want to. We know that some people are vulnerable. When you look at the vulnerable persons, you're looking at children under 5. You're looking at pregnant women. You're looking at people with diseases, maybe very bad diseases, you know. So those are vulnerable groups that you want to say, okay, wait till, let's be careful with this set of persons.
Okay,
it is not like it is contraindicated. But for now, it is an observation to say, let us not. That we see doing studies on those persons. If you notice, before now, there is a particular age that was given as a bracket to before you give the AstraZeneca. I think about 65 or so. I remember the Chancellor of Germany that time was saying she will not take because she was 66, and since the law says 65, there was a time that saying, oh, you don't give children, you don't give people below the age of 18 or so. But now, I mean, they've varied it. They're coming down to maybe younger children, you understand, and they say. At the same time, they're even going up to older people. So it is an ongoing process.
All right, so Doc,
science is usually very careful.
I'll still talk with you as the Secretary General of the Nigerian Medical Association. I know that in certain clime, you know, when you go in to take vaccine, they give you some pamphlets to read. You know, there are options. You get to understand, you know, some of those things, what will happen to you. And then you even have opportunity of choosing, do I want Pfizer, do I want AZ, do I want this or that, you know. But I have taken time to move around 3 different places where these things are given. And I didn't see that happening for Nigeria and Nigerians. Some of us don't even know the thing we're taking. I asked somebody, what did you take? He said, I don't know. They say it's vaccine. The name of the vaccine, they do not know. Do we not have a right to know what we're taking?
Yeah, your point is very good, well taken. Remember too that we are in a warfare. There is actually not enough time for campaigns.
Well, we could do flyer.
I'm coming. But if you notice social media, I mean, I'm sure we are 5 here. All of us have phone. Even my mother has smartphone in the village. It has become an easier method than flyer. We also realize that people are not really reading. But once it comes to your phone, there is notification, oh, this you read. If I received so many about the different type of vaccines, what to expect and what to do. So I cannot, and you can ask questions even at that point, and the healthcare workers are ready to answer. I mean, even the truth, those who are giving the MPI people, you know, they are giving they're answering all your questions, you know. So, but it's an addition. I also know that there are some few places, some states, that the states took it upon them to print flyers and give out. So, it's not like that saying, sorry, ma, it's not like that saying, they're not saying that it's not your right. It's your right, we know. And you see, based on interaction, good point comes out, and people will now begin to look at it. You understand? I know I saw some flyers. You understand? You know, but they were not like particularly at the point of administration, but they were spread and given out. You understand? And,
okay. So, the good thing is that you said when we interact, good points come out. I want to.
Unless you have.
I'll see more of that coming up.
He
you should know. There are some people who do not have smartphones. There are people who do not even have phones.
Let me
and
add
they need to take it. There are some people who cannot read English and need to be able to have this conversation.
Local language. They have local language. Language transmission that they've done even in this country. Showing the translators, they've done in this country in different languages. I mean, I saw some Hausa zone and the rest of them.
I would say that
lot of questions are coming in here for you people.
The point you said is right, because when it comes to vaccine, because these are new things, and we be very, very careful, because when those vaccines were brought up in the 60s, in the 70s, and the rest, and when we started the first vaccine, Edward Jenner, and the rest, and small, but what we realized then, there was no social media space and all those things. But now this vaccine is coming in. This is one of the newest vaccines that have been brought in within the social media space. But I think it's also good that we can do that. But I will tell you that I think that this something has not actually reached everywhere, but more will still be done. And I know the Primary Healthcare Development Agency are actually doing it. In fact, they've invited me severally, and I've done a lot of jingles and the rest to talk about the vaccine on radio, but flyers too will help, so that we can actually get to the market space and all those things, and also talk in the language the people understand, because cultural implication, cultural aspect need to be brought into that. And Chief was right. Some states actually took it upon themselves to do that. FCT, I think this is something that we can actually tell the State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, because I know I know the head executive secretary, Dr. Ewart, very, very active, and I think we can actually take that.
But I want to add, her point is good, it's noted, but it's not late. It's not late. Why? Okay. Why is it not late? The people now that we are giving are people who are already aware of these things. That the frontline workers, the head people, the people in information like you understand? Those are the first persons who are giving the first 3 million doses. We still have about, if Nigeria is 200 million, we still have quite a lot, over 150 million. So it's not late. You know, like it's a developmental, something in evolution.
All right, so let's quickly take some questions, because our time is almost not ours again. It says, some people say if you take COVID vaccine, your manhood will not work for 7 months. I don't know about this, but doctor, just one sentence to comment.
I've also heard that when some people take it, their manhood works very well.
Works better?
Yes, I don't think it's not true. Yes.
Okay, can someone who is taking some routine drugs such as aspirin as a result of heart problem take the vaccine?
Well,
yes or no?
Yes, the only contraindication that was mentioned, but I don't know how valid, maybe he may throw more light, is that when you take the vaccine and you have maybe inflammations or headache or body pains, that it's not okay to take injection diclofenac, you know, because it has a reaction on the heart. You understand? But every other thing, I think is...
and I think that is a valid point. I think we need to say this very straight and very clear. If you are on any medication, what we call medication as a result of preconditions before the vaccine came, before the vaccine is administered, please continue with it. There is none of those medications that are contraindicated to it.
The vaccine.
So if the questioner actually is taking aspirin 75 milligram for his condition and the rest, please continue taking that. In fact, aspirin actually helps maybe against clotting of blood, which is one of those things that people have talked about in the social media. So I think this is quite good. And any medication, people that are taking the diabetic drug, please continue. It does not stop anything.
Sorry, ma. It's not all the things that we see in the social media that are right. This issue they talked about clot with AstraZeneca. There have been research where you brought the normal population, the persons who have not taken the vaccine, let's say 1,000, another group of persons who have taken the vaccine 1,000, and they didn't find any difference on those who have clot issue. So in other words, it's not very specific that the AstraZeneca vaccine is going to cause a clot that is going to kill people, different from the normal population. No, it's not.
All right, so is the vaccine curative or preventive? If it's none of those, why are we taking it? This is coming from Barrister Lamba from Potishkun, Yobe State.
Well, okay, it is both. It is both preventive and it's both curative. Like, you mentioned neutralizer. You understand what I'm saying? In other words, if somebody is even having COVID and you take the vaccine, you tend to get better. It will neutralize the COVID-19 vaccine. So it's both of them. And so there is need to take it, while at the same time maintaining the normal safety protocols.
All right, so we'll quickly take maybe 2 questions at the same time, see how much you can. NTA, I'm glad you came up with this awareness program. Please keep it up so that together we can fight the ignorance and wrong perspective of some Nigerians concerning the COVID-19. I repeat that ignorance is more deadly than the virus itself. That's Paul from Nasarawa State. Thank you so much, Paul. Ignorance is... It's really bad.
I think we need to.
Somebody asked here, is this vaccine free? So is it free?
It's very free, very free. In short, you should be wary. Anywhere they say you should pay for it, that means something is wrong.
Right away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the social space too, we need to fill up the social space about the right thing about the vaccine,
yes,
the advantages of the vaccine and the good intention of the vaccine.
Yes.
And I think we need to do that. And I think this is where I think we need to tell and ginger most of us, the healthcare workers who are and the frontliners that have taken this vaccine. Let's go out there and fill up this social space and talk to people. That I didn't feel dizzy, it didn't do anything to me, I'm fine, and then that is what we should do. We should fill up the space. Okay. And good work you are doing by inviting. That's why I said
this is part of it. This is part of it.
I have to get out of the treatment and get there.
Yes, I'm glad you came. It will be difficult for Nigerians to collect COVID-19 vaccine because of the ways different names are given to COVID-19. More than 70% of Nigerians do not have access to television, radio. What can you say about it? Well, I think we just mentioned that when we said we should do more.
And one of the other things, that has been added to it is that the opinion leaders, the MP, National Primary Health, recently gathered most of our traditional rulers, and then they are taking the message back. Do you remember what we did? When the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Faisal and co, Dr. Faisal, gathered took their Sultan of Sokoto as an ambassador towards eradication of this. You see the way successfully we eradicated polio, and this has been done with other traditional
I want to believe that we're going to do even more. Our time is not here with us again.
I still want to mention something. This issue of spiritual connotation.
Yes, we're going to talk about that, but I'm going to let you promise our viewers that you'll be here again next Wednesday to give us a part 2 of this.
See, I'm a Secretary General of Nigerian Medical Association, a stakeholder in the health sector of Nigeria. Even if it's 0.1%.
So, okay, Nigerians, you're hearing him. He says he'll be here next week to ensure that.
Unless I have an emergency.
No, you don't have any emergency.
We'll be here.
Okay, he will be here. He will be here next week. So all the questions you're asking here, we'll start by answering your questions. So be good Nigerians, and whatever you do, please stay healthy. Wash your hands. And keep social distancing, but I like hugging.